Hello everyone, myself Dr. Ajit Kumar Surana, Assistant Professor, Suresh Gyanvihar University, Department of Physiotherapy. Today's we are discussing about a neurological topic, Parkinson disease. It is a neurological disease. So today's we are discussing about Parkinson disease. First of all, the objectives of the Parkinson's disease. Describe the sign and symptoms associated with early Parkinson's disease. Discuss the importance of appropriate diagnosis in the management of Parkinson's in primary care settings and describe symptoms of Parkinson disease. So these are the objectives of the Parkinson disease that describe the sign and symptoms associated with early Parkinson's disease. Discuss the importance of appropriate diagnosis in the management of Parkinson's in primary care settings and describe symptoms of Parkinson disease. Now, the contents of the Parkinson's disease. First, the definition of the Parkinson disease, their objective measures, pathology of the Parkinson's disease, etiology of the Parkinson disease, their clinical features, diagnosis of Parkinson disease, and the management of the Parkinson disease. These are the contents of the Parkinson's disease. Definition of Parkinson disease, objective measures, pathology of Parkinson's disease, etiology, clinical features, diagnosis, and management of the Parkinson's disease. Now, first of all, the definition of the Parkinson disease. Parkinson disease is a complex progressive neurodegenerative disorder. Parkinson disease, it is mainly a complex progressive neurodegenerative disorder with typically clinical features, involves a movement disorders consisting of bradykinesia, resting tremor, rigidity, and postural instability. Or Parkinson disease, it is a complex progressive neurodegenerative disorder with four cardinal signs like tremors, rigidity, bradykinesia, and the postural instability. These are the cardinal signs of the Parkinson disease. Now, the etiology of the Parkinson's disease. How Parkinson disease can occur. The causes of idiopathic Parkinson disease are still not fully understood. The causes of idiopathic Parkinson disease are still not fully understood. The relatively uniform worldwide prevalence suggests that a single environmental agent is not responsible. A single environmental agent is not responsible for the Parkinson disease. There may be multiple interacting risk factors, including genetic susceptibility. There may be multiple interacting risk factors, including genetic susceptibility. Now, the idiopathy of the Parkinson disease. Idiopathic. The etiology is not understood. Example of this Parkinsonism is the Parkinsonian disease. The example of this type of Parkinsonism is Parkinson's disease, where there is degeneration of the neurons in the substantia nigra and the corpus stratum or the stratonigeral pathway. It occurs usually in late adult life, progress slowly, and kills the patient by 10 to 15 years after the onset. This is the idiopathic Parkinson disease. Etiology of idiopathic Parkinson disease is not understood. Example of this type of Parkinson is Parkinson disease, where there is degeneration of the neurons in the substantia nigra and corpus stratum or stratonigeral pathway. It occurs usually in late adult life, progress slowly, and kills the patient by 10 to 15 years after the onset. Now, second one is the vascular etiology. In vascular etiology, there is multi-infarct disease like atherosclerotic Parkinson. Atherosclerotic means hardening of the wall of the arteries due to deposition of the fat. So second one is the vascular etiology. In this vascular etiology, there is multi-infarct disease. Now third one is the infection due to any infections by various viruses. Infections like various viruses, most commonly influenza virus, may be causing Parkinsonism like features. They may be causing Parkinsonism like features. It is termed as encephalitis, lethargia that cause focal insult to the brain matter. Now, due to any toxicity, etiology occurs due to any toxicity like certain toxic chemicals like manganese, carbon disulfide, carbon monoxide, cyanide exposed in various occupations. They are exposed in the various occupations, can cause diffuse damage to the brain, exhibiting Parkinson's syndromes. Next is the various drugs like phenothiazines, butyrofeninones, tetrabenzynes can cause Parkinsonism. Now, the multiple system degeneration that occurs in the conditions like Alzheimer's disease, multiple system degenerations that occurs in the conditions like the Alzheimer's disease, Drager syndrome, supranuclear ophthalmoplegia, Wilson's disease, etc., can cause Parkinsonism. Now, the pathology of the Parkinson disease, how Parkinson disease occurs. Pathology of the Parkinson In pathology of the Parkinson, it is due to the degeneration of the neurons in the statronegral pathway. It is mainly due to the degeneration of the neurons in the statronegral pathway. There is due to degeneration of the neurons, there is deficiency in the level of dopamine, or dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the statronegral pathway. Dopamine mainly it is a neurotransmitter in the statronegral pathway that inhibits the excitation. Dopamine that inhibits the excitation of the cholinergic pathways, which has acetylcholine as the neurotransmitters. Thus disease decrease in the dopamine level. Thus there is decrease in the dopamine level, remove the inhibitory influence. They remove the inhibitory influence on the cholinergic pathway, due to they causing excessive excitation of the extrapyramidal system. They cause the excessive excitation of the extrapyramidal system, which causes the increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist, which cause the increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist. This gives rise to the rigidity and the bradykinesia. When it cause increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist, this gives rise to the rigidity and the bradykinesia. The exact cause of the tremor is not properly known. So this is the pathology of the Parkinson disease. Parkinson disease mainly occurs due to the degeneration of the neurons in the statronegral pathway, due to which there is deficiency in the level of the dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the statronegral pathway that inhibits the excitation of the cholinergic pathway, which has a acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter. The decrease in the dopamine level, they remove the inhibitory influence on the cholinergic pathway, causing excessive excitation of the extrapyramidal system, which cause increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist. This gives rise to the rigidity and the bradykinesia. The exact cause of tremors is not properly known. Now, the clinical features of the Parkinson's disease. The clinical features of the Parkinson disease. Clinical features of the Parkinson disease. In clinical features, disturbance in the voluntary movement, although there is no involvement of corticospinal tract, but still the patient exhibits difficulty in the performing of voluntary movements, which is mainly due to two abnormal features seen in Parkinson, which are the following. In clinical features, first one is the bradykinesia. Bradykinesia, according to Jacksonian principles, this is a negative feature of the Parkinsonism. Bradykinesia, according to the Jacksonian principles, bradykinesia is a negative feature of the Parkinsonism. It means there is slowing of the movement. There is slowing of the movement with decrease in the amplitude and intensity of the contraction. Bradykinesia means slowing of the movements with decrease in the amplitude and the intensity of the contraction. Now, second clinical feature is the rigidity. Rigidity, this can be called a positive feature in the Parkinsonism. Rigidity is the positive feature in the Parkinsonism. It is manifested as co-contraction of agonist and antagonist muscle due to increase in the supraspinal influence on the normal spinal system. Uh, Rigidity means there is co-contraction of the agonist and the antagonist muscles due to the increase in the supraspinal influence. Increase in the supraspinal influence on the normal spinal system, causing increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist. Supraspinal influence of the normal spinal system, they causing the increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist. The patient usually complains of rigidity as a sensation of heaviness or stiffness of the limbs. While rigidity occurs, the patient may complains of sensation of heaviness or stiffness of the limb. Now the next rigidity may involve all the body parts and may be symmetrical or asymmetrical distributed. Rigidity can involve all the body parts and may be symmetrical or asymmetrical distributed. It occurs in three forms. Rigidity mainly occurs in the three forms. First one is the lead pipe, second one is cogwheel, and third one is the echinacea. Lead pipe means in this resistance is constant and uniform. In lead pipe, the resistance it is constant and in uniform. Now in cogwheel, in this resistance is intermittent but uniform. Resistance is intermittent but uniform. In echinacea, it is an inability to initiate movements, or restricted movement. It occurs due to the severe rigidity. Echinacea mainly occurs due to the severe rigidity. So these are the three forms of the rigidity. First one is the lead pipe. Lead pipe means in this resistance is constant and uniform. Second one is the cogwheel. In this resistance is intermittent but uniform. Now third one is the echinacea. Echinacea means it is an inability to initiate movement. It occurs due to the severe rigidity. Now next clinical features of the Parkinson disease is the postural disturbance. In postural disturbance, the patient's ability to maintain both an static and dynamic posture or balance is severely impaired. In postural disturbance, the patient have ability to maintain both static and dynamic posture or balance is severely impaired due to combined influenza of disturbance in the vestibular, due to mainly combined influenza of disturbance in the vestibular proprioceptions, visual and writing reactions. Also, there is loss of protective reaction. Also, there is a loss of protective reaction of upper limb extension during a fall, causing a fear of injury to the during a fall, fear of causing fear of injury to the fear of injury to the patient. Now the next one is the tremors. Next clinical features of the Parkinson disease is the tremors. Tremors means this is defined as involuntary oscillation of body parts at frequent ranging. This is defined as involuntary oscillations of body parts at frequency ranging from 3.5 to 7 hertz. Frequency ranging from 3.5 to 7 hertz. It is one of the cardinal sign of the Parkinsonism. It is one of the cardinal sign of the Parkinsonism. And in many patients, this is the first sign of the disease. It is one of the cardinal sign of the Parkinsonism, and in many patients, this is the first sign of the disease. This is the first sign of the disease. The tremors occurs due to uninhibited activity of the basal gangliocortico-thalamus. Tremors they are mainly occurs due to uninhibited activity of the basal gangliocortico-thalamus circuit as a result of degeneration of the striatonigral pathway, due to which there is degeneration of the striatonigral pathway. The tremors seen in the Parkinsonism is resting tremors. The tremors that are seen in the Parkinsonism The tremors which are seen in the Parkinsonism is the resting tremors, which is absent in the sleep and increase with voluntary movements. The tremors that are seen in the Parkinsonism are the resting tremors or that are absent during sleep, and they may increase with voluntary efforts or even emotional excitement. The tremor is typically the pin rolling type observed in the fingers. The tremors they are mainly typically the pin rolling type Tremors is typically the pin rolling type observed in the fingers. Tremor may also be occasionally seen in the lips and the tongue. These tremors may also be occasionally seen in the lips and the tongue. So this is related to the tremors. Now the next clinical feature is the gait. Combination in gait, there is combination of movement and sequential movement tasks are grossly affected in the Parkinsonism. Combination of movement and sequential movement, combination of the movement of body of the patient and the sequential movements tasks are grossly affected in the Parkinsonism. The Parkinsonism patient exhibits severe difficulty in walking. Parkinsonism patients they exhibits severe difficulty in walking. They exhibits a severe difficulty in walking. Initially, there is only lack of associated movements like swimming of arm while walking. Initially, there is only lack of associated movements like swimming of arm while walking. Letter on the gait becomes slow. Letter on the gait becomes slow, shuffling gait with small steps. Letter on the gait becomes slow, there may be shuffling gait with small step. The initiation of walking is difficult in Parkinson patients. Initiation of the walking is difficult, but after initiation, the patient may walk fast with small steps. But after the initiation, the patient may walk fast with small steps in a band attitude, and eventually run as if to catch up with his center of the gravity. This is called as fascinating gait. On the other hand, patient may also have freezing of the gait. On the other hand, the patient may have also freezing of gait. In this case, the patient walks quite well initially. In this case, the patient walks quite well initially with relatively larger step, but eventually shuffles at the same place. So this is the clinical feature of the Parkinson disease gait. In gait, there is combination of movements, and the sequential movement tasks are grossly affected in Parkinson patient. Thus, the Parkinson patient exhibits severe difficulty in walking. Initially, there is only lack of associated movements like swimming of arm while walking. Later on, the gait becomes slow, shuffling gait with small steps. The initiation of walking becomes difficult, but after initiation, the patient may walk fast with small steps in a bend attitude and eventually run if to catch up with his center of gravity. This is called as the fascinating gait. On the other hand, the patient may also have freezing of gait. In this case, the patient walks quite well initially with relatively larger step, but eventually suffers at the same place. Now, next clinical features of the Parkinson disease, there is facial attitude. Facial attitude, Parkinsonism patients suffer from Parkinsonism patient, they are suffer from masked or expressionless faces. Parkinsonism patients in facial attitude, the Parkinsonism patient, they are suffer from the masked or expressionless faces. They are suffering from the masked or the expressionless faces. The person appears to be continuously staring. The person when we see the Parkinson patient, the person appears to continuously staring. There is constant flowing in the majority of the individuals. In these type of patient, there is constant flowing in the majority of the individual. The skin appears shiny and greasy with increased salivation. The skin of the Parkinson patients appears shiny and greasy. The skin of these type of patient becomes shiny and greasy with increased salivation. With the increased salivation and drooling due to the autonomic dysfunction. And drooling is mainly due to the autonomic dysfunction. Now next one is the posture. Posture of the Parkinson patient, the stoop attitude with flux tank and the limbs. Posture of the patient is stooped attitude posture with flexed trunk and the limbs and the forward rounded shoulders may occur. These are the clinical features of the Parkinson. This facial attitude. In attitude, the Parkinson patient suffer from masked or expressionless face. The person appears to be continuously staring. There is constant flowing in majority of individuals. The skin appears shiny and greasy with increased salivation and drooling due to the autonomic dysfunction. Posture of the Parkinson is stooped attitude with flexed trunk and the limbs. Now the next clinical feature of the Parkinson is speech. Parkinson patient have slurred speech. Parkinson patient does not speak clearly. They do not speak clearly. So the Parkinson patient have a slurred speech. Handwriting is micrographia. Handwriting of this type of patient is micrographia. Micrographia means size of letter gradually becomes smaller and smaller. In micrographia, the size of the letters it is gradually becomes smaller and smaller. And next one is the dysphagia. Dysphagia, it may be seen in half percent of the Parkinson patient. It may be seen in the half percent of the Parkinson patient. So in speech, the Parkinson patient may have a difficulty in speaking or they have a slurred speech. Handwriting is micrographia. Micrographia means the size of letters they are gradually become smaller and the smaller. And this second one is the dysphagia. Dysphagia means it may be seen in half percent of the Parkinson's patient. Now next one is the vascular difficulty. Visual difficulties. In visual difficulties, there is blurring of vision, there is infection of the eyes, due to which there is blurring of vision and the patient cannot see clearly, decrease blinking that cause eye strain and rarely diplopia. There is decreased blinking of the eyes, it may cause eye strain, due to which the eye strain and the rarely diplopia may occur. Glabellar tape reflexes fail to habituate. Glabellar tape reflexes fails to habituate. Oculogyris crisis may occur sometimes. In visual difficulties, first one is there is a blurring of vision or difficulty in seeing any object, or there is decreased blinking that cause the eye strain and rarely diplopia. Glabellar tape reflexes fails to habituate. Oculogyris crisis may occur sometimes. Now next clinical feature is asthenia. Asthenia means there is generalized weakness may be seen. In asthenia, there is generalized weakness of the body may be seen, although there are not these are not due to the direct involvement of the lower motor neurons, but mainly due to the deconditioning and the rigidity. In asthenia, there is generalized weakness may be seen, these are not due to the although these are not due to the direct involvement of the lower motor neurons, but mainly due to the deconditioning and the rigidity. Now next one is the deep tendon reflexes are not directly affected in these Parkinson patients. Deep tendon reflexes are not directly affected, but however they may be difficult to elect or may be reduced in amplitude due to the rigidity. Deep tendon reflexes are not directly affected, but however, they may be difficult to elect or may reduce in the amplitude due to the rigidity. Plantar response is down going. Plantar response of the ankle, it is down going. Now the secondary complications of the Parkinson's disease. Secondary complications of the Parkinson's disease. There is decrease in the joint range and flexibility, causing tightness and the contractures. When there is decrease in the decrease in the joint range and the flexibility, they may cause tightness and the contractures. They may cause tightness and the contracture formation. Contractures are seen in the hip and knee flexors. Contractures are mainly seen in the hip and the knee flexors. Hip adductors, trunk flexors, neck flexors, shoulder adductors, elbow flexors, wrist and finger flexor. Kyphotic deformity is common due to the patient abnormal attitude. Deformity in the Parkinson patient, it is common, it is mainly due to the patient abnormal attitude. So there is second one is the secondary complication of Parkinson disease. Muscular atrophy and weakness are the secondary dysfunction. Muscular atrophy means a decrease in number of the cells, and the weakness are the secondary dysfunction of the secondary complication of the Parkinson disease. Now third one is the cardiopulmonary changes. um, due to due to affection of the Parkinson disease, there may be cardiopulmonary changes may occurs in the body. There is deconditioning of the cardiovascular and the respiratory system. There is deconditioning of the cardiovascular and the respiratory system is common due to the decreased activity and kyphotic posture. Cardiopulmonary, cardiovascular and the respiratory system is common due to decreased activity and kyphotic posture that cause compression of the vital structure in the thorax. Kyphotic posture, they cause the compression of the vital structure in the thorax. Now next secondary complication of the Parkinson disease is the osteoporosis. Osteoporosis means weakening of the bones of the body due to prolonged inactivity and poor dieting intake, causing osteoporosis. Due to the prolonged inactivity and the poor diet intake may cause the osteoporosis. Moreover, frequent fall increase the likelihood of the fracture. Moreover, the frequent fall always increase the likelihood of a fracture. Now next one is the edema. Edema may occurs in the distal part of the foot due to the venous pooling as a result of decreasing pumping action of the calf muscles. In edema, it mainly occurs in the distal part of the foot due to the venous pooling as a result of decreased pumping action of the calf due to the pumping action of the calf muscle. Now, skin infections like dermatitis can occur due to increased secretion by sweat and the sebaceous gland. Skin infection, they are like dermatitis, they may occur due to the increased secretion of sweat and the sebaceous gland. So these are the secondary complications of the Parkinson disease. Now, the stages of the Parkinson disease. Stages of the Parkinson disease. According to Han and Yar, staging of the Parkinson disease. According to the Hans and the YAHR, staging of the Parkinson disease. There are mainly 5 stages of the Parkinson disease. In stage 1, sign and symptoms on one side only. In stage 1, the sign and symptoms of the Parkinson disease are occurs only one side of the body. Symptoms becomes mild. Symptoms become mild and symptoms inconvenient but not disabling. Symptoms they are inconvenient but not disabling. Symptoms become inconvenient but not disabling. Usually present with tremors of one limb. Usually in stage 1, the symptoms of Parkinson usually present with tremors of one limb. Uh, Friends may have noticed changes in posture, locomotion, and the facial expression. In stage 1, the friends have noticed that there is changes in the posture, locomotion, and the facial expression may occur in the Parkinson patient. Now in stage 2, in stage 2, symptoms are bilateral. Symptoms occur bilateral. In stage 2, minimal disability may occur and posture and gait affected in this type of the Parkinson patient. In stage 1, there is, sign and symptoms are one side only. Symptoms become mild and symptoms inconvenient but not disabling. Usually present with the tremors of one limb. Usually they are present with the tremors of one limb. Now, the friends have noticed changes in the posture, locomotion, and the facial expression. Now, in stage 2 symptoms are bilateral. In stage 2, the symptoms are bilateral, minimum disability, posture, and gait affected. Posture and the gait affected in the stage second. Now, in stage 3, significant slowing of the body movements may occur. Significantly, slowing of body movements may occur. Early impairment of equilibrium on walking or standing. There is early impairment of equilibrium. There is early impairment of equilibrium on walking or standing. Generalized dysfunction that is moderately severe. Generalized dysfunction that is moderately severe. In stage 3, there is significant slowing of the body movements, early impairment of the equilibrium on walking or standing. There is generalized dysfunction that is moderately severe. Now, stage 4, severe symptoms become severe. In stage 4, severe symptoms may occur, can still walk to limited extent, and rigidity and bradykinesia may occur, no longer able to live alone. No longer able to live alone. Tremors may be less than earlier stages. Now in stage 5 or last stage of the Parkinson disease, it is also called as cachectic stage. Invalidism complete, cannot stand or walk, require constant nursing care. So these are the 5 stages according to Horn and Yair staging of the Parkinson's disease. In stage 1, the sign and symptoms are only one side of the body. Symptoms become mild, symptoms inconvenient but not disabling. Symptoms usually present with the tremors of the one limb. Friends have noticed changes in stage 1. The friends have noticed changes in the posture, locomotion, and the facial expression. In stage 2, symptoms become bilateral. Minimum disability may occur, and the posture and gait may affected in the stage 2. Now in stage 3, there is significant slowing of the body movements occurs. Significant slowing of body movements may occur. Early impairment of equilibrium on walking or standing. There is early impairment of equilibrium on walking or standing. There is generalized dysfunction. There is generalized dysfunction that is moderately severe. There is generalized dysfunction that is moderately severe. Now in stage 4, severe symptoms may occur, can still walk to a limited extent. Can they still walk to a limited extent? Rigidity and bradykinesia may occur, no longer able to live along. The patient no longer able to live along. Tremors may be less than the earlier stages. Tremors they may be less than earlier stages. Now in stage 5 or last stage, this is also called as cachectic stage. Invalidity complete, cannot stand or walk, or required a constant nursing care. So these are the 5 stages of the Parkinson disease according to Horn and Yar staging of the Parkinson disease. Now, the next is the diagnosis of the Parkinson disease. How can we diagnose the Parkinson disease? There is no laboratory test. There is no laboratory test for the Parkinson disease. There is no laboratory test for the Parkinson disease. Diagnosis of the Parkinson disease is only made by recognizing physical signs and distinguishing idiopathic Parkinson disease from other Parkinsonian syndromes. There is no laboratory test for the Parkinson disease. The diagnosis is made by recognizing physical signs and distinguishing idiopathic PD from other Parkinsonian syndromes. Other Parkinsonian syndromes. No laboratory test for the Parkinson disease. Diagnosis is mainly made by recognizing physical signs and distinguishing idiopathic PD from other Parkinson syndromes. Now, the patient with suspected Parkinson disease should be referred to a specialist without initiation of the treatment. The patient who is suspected from Parkinson disease. The patient who is suspected from a Parkinson disease should be referred to a specialist. It should be referred to a while we see a suspected Parkinson disease, we should be referred it to a specialist without any initiation of the treatment. MRI is normal but and not necessary in typical cases. MRI is normal in the Parkinson patient and it is not necessary in the typical cases. Dopamine transporter dopamine transporter imaging using SPECT or PET makes use to a radio level ligand binding to the dopaminergic terminals to assess the extent of the nigrosternal loss. It may occasionally be needed in the diagnosis. It may occasionally be needed to distinguish the PD from other causes of the tremors or from drug-induced Parkinsonism, but it cannot discriminate between Parkinson disease and other akinetic rigid syndromes. So in diagnosis, there is no laboratory test for the Parkinson disease. Diagnosis is mainly made by recognizing physical signs, distinguishing idiopathic PD from other Parkinsonian syndrome. Patient with suspected PD should be referred to a specialist without initiation of the treatment. The patient with suspected PD or Parkinson's disease, it should be referred to a specialist without initiation of treatment. MRI is normal and not necessary in the typical case. Dopamine transporters or DAT imaging using SPECT or PT makes a use of a radio level ligand binding to the dopaminergic terminus to assess the extent of the nigrostriatal cell loss. It may occasionally be needed to distinguish Parkinson disease from other causes of tremors or from drug induced Parkinsonism, but it cannot discriminate between Parkinson disease and other akinetic rigid syndromes. Now, the prognosis of the Parkinson in prognosis is how Parkinson disease may travel. Variable and the depends partially on the stages of the onset. Variable and depends partially. They are on the age of the onset. If the symptoms start in the middle life, if the symptoms of the Parkinson disease start in the middle life, the disease is usually slowing progressing. If their symptoms they are start in the middle life, the disease is usually slowly, progressively, and likely to shorten lifespan because of the complication of immobility and the tendency to fall. Onset over 70 is unlikely to shorten life or become severe. Onset hours after 70 is unlikely to shorten life or become severe. Now the management of the Parkinson disease. In management, first the aim for the Parkinson disease providing symptomatic relief with minimal side effects. Our aim for the management of the Parkinson disease is we provide symptomatic relief with minimal side. We provide the symptomatic relief with minimal side effect. We reduce functional disability. We reduce the functional disability of the Parkinson patient. We reduce or delay long-term complications of the drugs therapy. We reduced or we delay the long-term complication of the drug therapy like motor fluctuations or dyskinesias. Now, slow disease progressions, neuroprotection. We use neuroprotection for the slow disease progression. For the slow disease progression, we use neuroprotection. Treat non-motor complications. We also treat the non-motor complications. This is the aim for the management of the Parkinson disease. We providing symptomatic relief. We providing the symptomatic relief with minimal side effects. We providing the we providing the symptomatic relief. We providing the symptomatic relief with minimal side effects. With minimal side effects, we reduce functional disability. We reduce the functional disability. We reduce or delay long-term complications of drugs therapy, fluctuations, dyskinesia, slow disease progression by neuroprotection or treat non-motor complication. We also treat the non-motor complications. This is the aim for the management of the Parkinson patient. Now, in management, the current pharmacological therapy or symptomatic treatment given for the Parkinson patient. Current pharmacological therapy or the symptomatic treatment for the Parkinson patient. First drug which is used in the Parkinson disease is levodopa. Levodopa remains the most effective form of treatment and all patients with Parkinson disease eventually need it. Levodopa remains the most effective form of treatment. They remains the most effective form of treatment, and all patients with Parkinson disease will eventually need it. It is combined with dopa carboxylase. It is dopa levodopa is combined with dopa carboxylase inhibitors, benzodiazide or co-phenyl-dopa or carbidopa to reduce the peripheral adverse effect like nausea and the hypotension. When levodopa is combined with the decarboxylase inhibitors, benzodiazides, or uh, it may to reduce the peripheral adverse effect like nausea and the hypotension. Now, dosage of the levodopa 50 mg of levodopa 3 times daily, increasing after 1 week to 100 mg 3 times daily is typically starting dose. So the starting dose of levodopa for the Parkinson patient is we start the levodopa with 50 mg of levodopa 3 times in a day, or it may increasing after 1 week to 100 mg 3 times daily is a typical starting dose of the levodopa. The response is often dramatic. The response of the levodopa is often dramatic. Now, the second drug which is used in the treatment for the Parkinson patient is the dopamine agonist. Agonist. It may be used in combination with levodopa. Agonist. They are used in combination with the levodopa. Dopamine agonist. Dopamine agonist, it may be used in combination with levodopa. Dopamine agonist, they may be used in combination with levodopa or as an initial monotherapy in younger patient or as initial monotherapy in younger patient below the age of 65 to 70 with mild to moderate impairment. With mild to moderate impairment. Although lacks efficacious in the symptom control, it is less efficacious in symptom control than levodopa and generally less well tolerated. Although these are the less effective in symptom control than levodopa and generally less well tolerated. Dopaminergic agonists is associated with fewer motor complications over a 5 years. Dopamine agonists, they are associated with fewer motor complication over a 5 year periods. Now, the management other drugs that are used in the Parkinson patient on disease, and these are the salicylic dose of the salicylic. It is 5 to 10 mg once in a day. Reduce the catabolism of the dopamine in the brain. 5 to 10 mg once in a day. selegiline 5 to 10 mg once in a day, they reduce the catabolism of dopamine in the brain, or it has a mild symptomatic effect. Selegiline have a mild symptomatic effect. Symptomatic effect. Rasagiline is another MAOB inhibitors. Rasagiline is another MAOB inhibitors. Now next one is the amantadine. Amantadine, the modest anti-Parkinsonian effect, but is used mainly in improved kinesis, dyskinesis in the advanced disease. Amantadine, it is the modest anti-Parkinsonian effects. Amantadine has a it is a modest anti-Parkinsonian effect, but is usually used mainly in the impro, improved dyskinesis in the advanced diseases. Now the management of the Parkinson disease. In management, there is physiotherapy management. In physiotherapy, we used the stretching exercise for the tight muscles. In physiotherapy, we use the range of motion exercise for to reduce the rigidity and and the spasticity of the joint of the muscles, and to break the contractures of the muscles. So in physiotherapy, we use the stretching exercise for the stretching exercise to reduce the rigidity and the spasticity, and strengthening exercise for the weak muscles. We use the strengthening exercise for the weak muscles to strengthen the weak muscles. And chest physiotherapy is another good choice for the management of the Parkinson disease, because in Parkinson disease, the patient is suffering from the respiratory problems. So we can use the chest physiotherapy. In chest physiotherapy, we can use the deep breathing exercise for the secretions of the cough that are deposited in the lungs. And another is the occupational therapy. Another management for the Parkinson disease is the occupational therapy and the aids physical aids for the balancing of the Parkinson patients. In physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, all have to role in play in managing Parkinson disease and reduce the disability, speech and swelling problems, and falls. Walking aids are often a hindrance early, or but later a frame or a tripod may help in the management of the Parkinson patient or Parkinson disease. So in management, first is physiotherapy. In physiotherapy, we use the strengthening and stretching exercise. In stretching exercise, mainly used for the tight muscles, for breaking of the contractures, for relieving pain in the tight muscles, or strengthening exercise. For strengthening exercise, it mainly used for the strengthening exercise. They are mainly used for the strengthening of the weak muscles. Or in physiotherapy, we can use also gait therapy for the balancing of the patients, uh, for the balancing of the patient, or increasing the stability of the patient. We use the balancing exercise for the Parkinson patient. In physiotherapy department, we use the balancing exercise for the Parkinson patients. And chest physiotherapy for excretion of the secretions that are deposited in the lungs. And in occupational therapy and speech therapy, all have a role in the play in managing postural uh, Parkinson disease, and they reduce the disability, speech and swelling problems, and false. Walking aids are often a hindrance early on, but later a frame or tripod may help. This is all about the Parkinson disease. This is all about the Parkinson disease. Parkinson disease, it is mainly a complex progressive neurodegenerative disorders with four cardinal signs. These the four cardinal signs are the bradykinesia. Bradykinesia means slowing of the movements. The second one is the resting tremors, rigidity, and the postural instability. These are the four cardinal signs of the Parkinson disease. Etiology of the idiopathic etiology is unknown for the Parkinson patient, or it may be for vascular multi-infarct disease infection के लिए various virus infection may involve for the due to any toxicity, due to any various drugs, due to multiple system degeneration that occur in conditions like Alzheimer's disease. Or pathology of the Parkinson disease. Parkinson disease mainly occurs due to the degeneration of the neurons in the statonigrel pathway, statogeniral pathway, due to which there is deficiency in the level of the dopamine, or dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the statogeniral pathway. That dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the statogeniral pathway. They inhibit the excitation of the cholinergic pathway, which has a acetylcholine, which has a acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter. Thus, decrease in the dopamine level. Thus, there is decrease in the dopamine level. They remove the inhibitory influence on the cholinergic pathway. They cause the excessive excitation of the extrapyramidal system or reticulorubro, which cause increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist. This gives rise to the rigidity and the bradykinesia. So this is all over the pathology of the Parkinson. Now the clinical feature. In clinical feature, there is bradykinesia. Bradykinesia means slowing of the movement. Second one is the rigidity. Rigidity means there is co-contraction of agonist and the antagonist muscles due to an increase in the supraspinal influence on the normal spinal system. They cause increased tone in the agonist and the antagonist. It mainly occurs in three forms, like lead pipe, cogwheel, and akinesia. Lead pipe means resistance remain constant and uniform. In cogwheel, the resistance is intermittent but uniform, and in akinesia, there is inability to initiate the movements. Now, the clinical another clinical feature is postural disturbance may occurs in the Parkinson patients. Tremors mean tremors are mainly defined as involuntary oscillation of the body parts at frequency ranges from 3.5 to 7 hertz. Next clinical feature is the gait affected in the combination of movement and the sequential movement tasks may affected in the Parkinson patient. Facial attitude. Parkinson patient, they are suffering from mask or expressionless face. Postural stoop attitude with flexed trunk and the limbs. Speech. The Parkinson patient have slurred speech. They have difficulty in speaking. Handwriting is micrographia. Micrographia means size of the letter gradually becomes smaller and smaller. Dysphagia is mainly seen in 5% of the Parkinson patient. There is visual difficulties. In visual blurring of vision, decreased blinking that causes eye strain and rarely diplopia. There is a in secondary complex and decrease in joint range and flexibility causing tightness and the contrast. Muscle atrophy, cardiopulmonary changes may occur, osteoporosis may occur, edema, skin infections. Stage according Hone and Yan, there are mainly five stages of the Parkinson disease. Diagnosis: no laboratory test for the Parkinson disease. When we go for a MRI, it is normal and it is not necessary in the typical cases. Progression variable and depends partially on the age of variable and depends mainly partially on the age of the onset. Management: the aim for the management of the Parkinson disease is providing symptomatic relief with minimal side effects. We reduce functional disability, reduce or delay long-term complications of the drug therapy, motor fluctuation, dyskinesia, slow disease progression, neuroprotection, treat non-motor complications. In management of first drug, pharmacological management, first drug used in the management of the Parkinson disease is the levodopa. Second one, dopamine agonist, selegiline and amantadine, and physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and the physical aids are used in the management of the Parkinson disease. Now, the quiz related to the Parkinson disease. Question number one: the Parkinson disease is marked by a lack of which chemical in the brain? Parkinson disease, it is marked by a lack of which chemical in the brain? Options are A. Serotonin, B. GABA, D. Dopamine, and E. D. Norepinephrine. Question is, the Parkinson disease is marked by a lack of which chemical in the brain? Options are serotonin, GABA, dopamine, or norepinephrine. So the answer for the Parkinson disease, it is mainly marked by a lack of dopamine chemical in the brain, because dopamine is a neurotransmitter for the statogeniral pathway. Now, next question, question number second. What is the average age when Parkinson disease first appears? What is the average age when Parkinson disease first appears? Options are A 25, B 50, C 60, and D 75. The average age when Parkinson disease first appear is the 60 years. When the Parkinson disease appears first. Now, next is the what is the often first symptom of the Parkinson disease? What is often first symptom? What is often first symptom of the Parkinson? What is often first symptom of the Parkinson disease? Headache. Options are headache, nausea, shaking of hand or foot, or turning of the foot head. Now the answer is shaking of hand or foot is the third option. Now Parkinsonian disease only seen in the people of advanced age. Parkinson disease only seen in the people of advanced age. True or false? Answer is false. Now Parkinson disease is a movement disorder. It is true or false? Yes, Parkinson disease is a movement disorder. Answer is A. Now the severe headache are a main symptoms of the Parkinson disease. True or false? Severe headache are a main symptom of Parkinson disease. True or false? Option is B. False. Now next is the what cause Parkinson disease? Options are a severe blood infection, loss of brain chemical dopamine, stroke, depression. What cause Parkinson disease? A severe blood infection or loss of brain chemical dopamine, stroke, or the depression. Now the answer for the Parkinson disease is mainly caused due to the loss of brain chemical dopamine. Now there next is there are dash stage of Parkinson disease: 2, 4, 5, and 7. There are dash stages of the Parkinson disease. Now the answer is 5. There are 5 stages of the Parkinson disease. Now next is the dementia is often seen in the latter stage of the Parkinson disease. Dementia is often seen in the latter stage of the Parkinson disease. Options it is true or is false. Yes, dementia is often seen in the latter stage of the Parkinson or it is the advanced stage of the Parkinson disease. So this is all about the Parkinson disease. Thank you.